Do you want to know how to get the best possible fried chicken sandwich? Make it yourself. Honestly, unless you happen to live near a really good fried chicken restaurant, making this yourself is going to be your best bet. You don't need 11 specially selected herbs and spices. A little bit of just the right ones will be perfect. KFC has nothing on this. And once you've got your head around the recipe, it's really easy to make. Let's get adventurous. We'll start with a buttermilk marinade. You don't need to be too precise with the measurements for this. I'm not measuring any of this, but I will put the approximate measurements up on screen. I'm making a sandwich with one trimmed up piece of chicken breast, and I've also got a couple of chicken breast offcuts that I'm going to fry up as well to make sure they don't go to waste. But this amount of marinade is probably enough to do 2 or 3 times this amount of chicken. Next up, I'm adding about a teaspoon each of garlic powder, onion powder, cayenne pepper, but you can reduce this amount if you don't want it to be spicy. Freshly ground black pepper, and paprika. I'm using smoked paprika because that's what I like, but regular paprika is just fine too. And some dried oregano and salt. Then I'm just going to give these a swirl together to make sure they're all evenly combined. And that's the marinade done. We can pop in our chicken pieces. I like to move them around a bit to make sure they're all evenly coated, press them down so they're all submerged, and then leave them to marinade. I like to leave them for at least an hour or so, but you can also do this the day before and leave them overnight so that the marinade has even more time to add its flavour. And this step's pretty messy, so make sure you give your hands a really good wash afterwards. Next, we need to make some seasoned flour for dredging. So I'm adding around a cup of plain flour to a bowl. You can use just plain flour, but I'm also adding about 1/3 of a cup of cornstarch. This can help to keep the coating of the chicken a little bit lighter and crisper, but it's totally optional. Now we want to reinforce the flavors from the marinade by adding a similar blend of spices to the flour. I like my fried chicken sandwiches spicy, so I'm adding about 3/4 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. You can reduce this or leave it out if you don't want it spicy. Then I'm adding about a teaspoon each of smoked paprika, garlic powder, and onion powder. And yeah, why not? I'm going to add a little bit more cayenne pepper as well. Like I said, I do like it spicy. Throw in a generous pinch of salt and mix that together until it's all combined. Now up next is a pro tip to help you to take your fried chicken to the next level. Over time, good fried chicken restaurants have realized that their chicken gets better as the day goes on. The reason being, as they repeatedly put more pieces of buttermilk brined chicken into the flour dredge starts to get a bit lumpy as the drips of buttermilk soak in. As a result, the coating on the chicken made later in the day gets extra lumps of the flour mixture stuck to it, which results in a thicker, more uneven and craggly coating, which when fried gives you more flavour and more crunch. So to simulate this, we're taking some of our buttermilk marinade and drizzling it into the flour, and this is going to make a big difference to the crispiness and crunchiness of that coating. If you're finding this useful, please share the video with others and click the like button. That way the video can spread to more people who might also find it useful. Then we're going to take our buttermilk brined chicken and toss it into the seasoned flour. I'm pushing this down into the flour quite firmly to make sure I get as much as possible stuck to the outside of the chicken. You don't want any of the chicken to be uncovered, and you want the covering to be as thick as possible. Toss the chicken around to make sure it's all evenly coated and keep pushing as much of that flour coating onto the chicken as possible. The chicken's now ready for frying. I'm going to put that aside while I work on the other ingredients for my sandwich. To make the sauce for my sandwich, I'm starting off with some mayonnaise. I'm then adding some hot sauce. This particular hot sauce is very spicy, so I'm only using a very small amount, but obviously you can adjust this based on your personal taste. If you don't like it spicy, don't add the hot sauce. Then adding a generous sprinkle of dried oregano and giving it all a mix so that it's well combined. So getting ready to assemble the sandwich, I'm putting a generous amount of that sauce on the top bun, and on the bottom bun I'm layering some pickles. These will give a nice acidic zing, bring a little bit of brightness, and help to balance out some of the richness of that fried chicken. Take a neutral oil with a high smoke point and heat it up to 180 degrees. I'm using peanut oil, but any oil that fits that description will do just fine. If you don't have a thermometer like this one, you can put the end of a wooden chopstick in the oil or throw in a small chunk of bread. And if it starts bubbling away quite enthusiastically, you'll know you're in the ballpark. Lower your chicken gently into the oil and make sure you let the chicken go away from you. That way, if it splashes, it should splash away from you, not towards you. Whoa, and that was a perfect example of just that. If I'd have dropped this towards me, that splash could have very well given me a really nasty burn. Leave this undisturbed until it's time to turn it over. Otherwise, you run the risk of breaking off some of the coating. Try to maintain the heat of your oil at a constant temperature and let this fry for around 3 to 5 minutes on each side, or until the internal temperature reaches around 73 degrees Celsius. I'm pulling this out at around 73 degrees. The internal temperature will continue to rise as it rests until it reaches a safe temperature. As soon as it's done, I'm taking it out and putting it on a plate with some kitchen towel to soak up some of the excess oil while it rests. Then it's just a matter of putting the chicken into the sandwich and crowning it with the top of the bun. And that is a beautiful, fresh, crispy, spicy fried chicken sandwich, much better than you're going to get from most takeaways. Yep, really satisfied with that. Beautiful crunch, nice and spicy, packed with flavour, complemented by a nice herby mayo, and balanced out with a nice tart pickle. For an even spicier, crazy chicken sandwich, click on the link at the left at the end of this video for my Flamin' Hot Cheetos fried chicken sandwich, with Flamin' Hot Cheetos special sauce. That's all for now. Happy snacking. Whoa! Ooh, dodged a bullet there. Well, that saves me having to spend the next 25 minutes with my arm running under cold water. Phew.